Day 9. Down dog in the plank. All right. Yesterday, I was talking about thinking about telling some stories or something like that, going with this book that I've been writing. I think I need to talk to a lawyer before I do that, because the stories are all true and whatnot, but it would incriminate quite a few people in some. I don't know. I need to talk to a lawyer about all that stuff. Like, you know how the movies start off by saying that although based on real events, the names and identities and locations of people have been changed to protect them or something like that. Well, it might be one of those types of situations, because a lot of wild things happened involving that. But I have been thinking about this one thing. Doesn't really involve anything too crazy, but I was in the mosh pit of a Five Finger Death Punch concert, and I don't know what I was saying. Like, two of my friends had extra tickets to the Five Finger Death Punch. They asked me to come with them. These are like heavy metal rock dudes working on cars and going four-wheeling all the time, drinking beer, and having a good time. But somehow, we drank a bunch of beers. Maybe I had like 15 beers. Like, I wanted to keep my wits about me a little bit, but I was having a good time. Smoked a couple joints, but we got separated and we're in this concert, and Five Finger Death Punch comes on. All the warm-up acts are done or whatever. They come on and they're like, "All right, you dirty motherfuckers, like, I want things to get crazy," and they're screaming at everybody. And suddenly I find myself in the center of a mosh pit. Like, I really wasn't expecting to be in the center of a mosh pit at this concert. Like, I thought maybe I'd meet a nice girl with like 6 lip rings and black paint all over her face or something like that, and I don't know, make a new friend. But here I am in the middle of this mosh pit, and Five Finger Death Punches scream at the crowd to go nuts. And they start rocking, and I like their music or whatever. They start going hard, and my friends are gone. I've been drinking and everything. I see some guys nearby take their shirts off, and they're covered in tattoos and just swinging elbows, bashing people in the face. I'm like, should I push people here? Or, what do I do? What am I supposed to do? I'm not going to elbow anybody in the face. That doesn't seem like a good idea, but these guys are doing it. But I'll just try and keep my distance from those guys. But the problem is, I'm a big guy. So people think, this guy, maybe I can knock him down, or if not, he probably wants to have a little bit of a fight here or something. Because we're in a mosh pit, But I didn't want to have a fight. I didn't want to do that. So I start pushing people a little bit, having a good time. And I start to notice that there's people on the ground getting trampled. Like, we're all shoulder to shoulder, tight in there. There's no room for nothing, You couldn't hold like a cup of tea or whatever. But guys are getting trampled on the floor below me, and I'm like, oh man, somebody's got to do something about this. Nobody cares. I break, fall, and get up. So now I stop pushing people, and I start trying to pick guys up off the ground because they're getting trampled. Like, somebody's got to help them. They're not having fun anymore. So I'm trying to pick guys up off the ground. I went to go pick up this one little guy, and he must have saw, me, bigger guy, approaching. And I was coming to kick his ass or something. I was really trying to help him. But he headbutts me, knocks my teeth back in my mouth. I look at him like, what the fuck, I guess I understand. There could have been miscommunication. But I had to rip some of his scalp and hair and stuff got caught in between my teeth as they were knocked back in my mouth. So I had to pull that out and flip it at him. I was like, all right, I'm done moshing. That's enough moshing for one day, So I went outside. And was sitting there drunk and bloody, thinking about my teeth being knocked back in my mouth. And I still didn't know where my friends were. They were somewhere else, not in the mosh pit. And so I think somebody gave me a beer and a cigarette while I was sitting out there trying to figure things out, thinking about my life and things. And I guess I decided to just grab my teeth and yank them back forward because they were still attached. Plow reps. So I ripped them back forward, spit out like another big burst of blood, and I thought that was it. I went back inside, found my friends finally. Here's my one buddy. I tried to pretend. I walked up to the stage. First I found my buddy, and they were Five Finger Death Punch was wrapping up. So I grabbed him and I threw him on top of the crowd, and he crowd surfed to the stage. He was real excited. I think that was the first time he'd ever done that, like crowd surf. So he crowd surfed to the stage, and then Five Finger Death Punch finished. They were done. They were wrapping up, and I met him up at the stage, and I told security, I was like, "Oh, hey, where are we supposed to go if we have the backstage meet and greet passes?" I didn't have backstage meet and greet passes. It was a Hail Mary, because other than that, we were just gonna go home, and that would be the night. It was only like 10 o'clock or something. And I was like, I know somebody's fucking partying after this concert. So I walked up to security and said, where do I go with these meet and greet passes? Where am I supposed to go if I've got meet and greet passes? And they were like, well, as a matter of fact, you would have known that you were supposed to come in before the show with passes like that, not after the show. I was like, and they're like, yeah. I'm like, all right, you got me, push-ups. Three, I don't know. It's like 102, 103, 104 maybe. Something like that. Bless. For some reason, that Five Finger Death Punch memory makes me think about this thing about the universe. I think the connection is that I remember finding myself in the middle of that mosh pit, thinking like, oh, I don't want to be here. How'd this happen? I don't want to be in this mosh pit. But just thinking about like my place in the universe, like how I got there or something. But there's like this idea that, well, like every time you make a thought, every time you think, whether it's thinking about like moving your finger or thinking about how to cook eggs or thinking about democracy, or every time you think something, it like generates some sort of electromagnetic brain waves that can be detected. That's not even up for debate. Like your brain generates brain waves that are detected. They're detectable. And, you know, this is something that I've been kind of thinking for a while. The universe, like we have like, so, like computers and hardware and stuff that can detect brainwaves. So like in the universe, it's like there's like the fabric of the universe, and there's like these monks that like spin these wooden blocks, almost like a kid's toy, like in the playgrounds, kids' playgrounds they have them. But they're like these wooden blocks with like little letters or phrases or something. You know, they're monks, I don't know what they write. But it's like written on these blocks and they spin them. And the idea is that they're imprinting that idea on the universe by spinning it. It leaves an imprint on the universe, the thing that they had spun. So your brain waves, you know, when you're thinking, you know, your brain waves can be measured, and you're like leaving an electromagnetic imprint on the fabric of the universe. Like you're imprinting that thought on the universe. So there's another thing that said, like, if you measure like the processing power, they've measured like the processing power of animals and people and then computers and like chips and stuff like that. If you measure the universe in the same kind of way, based on the communication of light between star to star, the processing power of people or something is like 10 to the 9th power or something or other. 15 seconds. The processing power of like the most advanced computer, when they did this was like 2005 or something. It was like 10 to the 4th power. But the processing power of the universe, if you measure it in the same way, was like 10 to the 126th power, which it sounds like a lot more than 10 to the 9th power, but you know, powers, you gotta realize they work, well, like earthquakes. Like each one is exponentially, more or something. So it's 10 to the 9 is a lot, processing power of a human brain. 10 to the 126 is like something you can't comprehend. Like if you fold a piece of paper 7 times or something like that, it'll be like a couple inches thick. But if you fold it like 20 times or something, it would reach the moon because of fucking exponentials. So the processing power of the universe in that measure is very high. So with all that processing power, I kind of think that it's aware somehow. The universe itself is aware of, like, all of us. You know, it's aware of me and everybody else. And if our thoughts leave like a unique electromagnetic signature, as they do, an imprint on the universe, like the monks, you know, think, then the universe knows you, man. It fucking knows you real well. It knows what you're thinking. It knows what you're doing. It knows everything there is to know. And it remembers it better than you do. So, not to get like super religious about it, but that's all perfectly explainable by science. 15 seconds. Like, that's all completely able to be reasoned out through science and fucking shit. You know, that's not even controversial. Nothing I said there is like controversial. But like a fear that I have on that whole thing is, like, what if one of your thoughts is like a key that like unlocks or triggers the universe to do something? Like, what if there's some thought, you know, that can be had that like fucking, like, there's this thing called like a gravity well or something where the gravity of the universe, there's, I don't know, Neil deGrasse Tyson's really afraid of this, but he's a fucking scientist. Like, gravity is pulling down or something, and if it realizes that it can actually pull down farther or something, gravity well, I don't know, the whole universe will evaporate instantaneously or something. So like maybe this like unique thought that you can have could trigger that to happen. Fuck, 25. I think computers, though, quantum computing and stuff now, I think they're smarter than people. I actually Googled it one time that said that computing power, I think it was like every computer on Earth versus every human on Earth, or whatever, the total computing power surpassed that of humans in like 2011 or something. It's only gonna get stronger, so that'll be interesting. They'll probably end up being some sort of fucking AI government. Like, they'll just be the government because they'll be smarter than us. They'll check us, and you know, they'll know what's best for us. I'm not gonna be happy about that, but I don't know. But for some reason, these thoughts are, that thought is like in the same fucking folder in my mind as that 5-finger death punch. The mosh Sphinx. Nice. Oh, I really like Sphinx. Been thinking about this guy named Edgar Casey. Well, I've been thinking about the Sphinx a lot, but this Edgar dude, I don't know what he was, but he's predicted that there would be like a discovery under the Sphinx in like he was from like the 1920s, but in like 1967, he predicted that in 1967 they would discover like records from Atlantis underneath like the front paw of the Sphinx, and that didn't happen, but they did do some like ground penetrating radar. They're like, there is a fucking chamber down there and we have no idea what's in there. Because they debate like the Sphinx, like how old it even is. Some people are like, oh, it's like 5,000 years old. Some other people are like, oh, it's like 25,000 years old. Who knows? But there is a chamber down there. And this guy says that there's going to be records in there from Atlantis. Nobody, he predicted it. I don't know what any of that means, but I'd like to know what's in that chamber. Probably not going to find out. I kind of think like maybe England recovered like a UFO during like King Henry VIII time or something. Like knights were out doing like an expedition and they recovered like a UFO, and then as a gift to America, like France gave us the Statue of Liberty. Maybe they gave us like their UFO that they've had for like 500 years before they even knew what it was. And that's that guy was on Rogan talking about what's his name? I knew his name before I even knew Rogan's name. Not George Norrie, Art Bell. I don't know. The guy. Damn it. Well, he was on Joe Rogan, and he was talking about studying like UFOs and stuff for the government. I wouldn't be surprised if like King Henry VIII discovered a UFO and gave it to America as a gift for, winning the Revolutionary War. So maybe it wasn't a gift. Maybe it was like America's like, all right, we won this war, so if you want us to, not come over there and kick your ass, you give us some. You gotta give us some. They're like, England's probably like, all right, how about some gold? And they're like, no. We want the good stuff. Give us that flying saucer you got there. Something like that. This isn't based on anything that I've read or heard online. It's just my own. I bet something like that's happened. Maybe it wasn't America and England. Maybe it was like China and Tibet or something, Nepal. I bet somebody just had a UFO. But how would a UFO crash? How would a UFO even crash? Like, you're gonna travel through space, light years, faster than the speed of light somehow, and then you're gonna crash because what? You didn't see a tree? You can navigate an asteroid field, but you can't watch out for that tree. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't check out at all. So a crashed UFO, maybe it's like intentionally crashed to like introduce people, to something else. There's paintings of UFOs and all sorts of old like artwork and stuff like that. There's the one called like the Nuremberg, I think it's Nuremberg wood painting. Like this dude, there was like a spaceship battle over top of this country or in Germany in like the 1500s. And this dude didn't just paint it. He carved it into like a big thing of wood so that, it was gonna hold up over time. He wanted to show people what he saw. So he did like a carving and then painted it. And there's like all these lights or spaceships or something shooting at each other in the sky for like 2 days or something. People were freaking out. It's recorded history. Maybe a spaceship crashed because it got shot down by like another spaceship. That could happen, I guess. So maybe the aliens like planted a spaceship. That seemed like just to get us warmed up to the idea. Because a couple months ago, the Pentagon said like we've recovered a craft from outside this world. And then that's all they said about it. But then the Senate was like, we're requesting like more information about that or something, you know. And they have like 6 months to put together a report that I think it's going to be public. I think there's only like 2 more months until that has to happen. So that will be interesting to hear what they have to say about that. There's all kinds of footage though of like spaceships and stuff. Tic Tac. There's another one. It may have been a recreation now that I've looked into it a little bit more, but it's really cool. But it basically, like, America was testing out like a missile, like an ICBM, like it was in outer space, like had to go up to space to come back down type of missile, like a nuclear missile or something. But they were testing it out, and like while they were watching the missile fly through space and see if they could hit the target back down on the ground, as it like reached space, like a craft flew right up beside of it and shot like 3 lasers at it, and then it dropped. Like it stopped propelling itself, it stopped going forward, and it just dropped, and this craft like flew away from it. And like that obviously wasn't, you know, I don't know what kind of technology we have, but it seemed very clear that it wasn't any sort of technology that we have. It couldn't be. I guess it could have been something I just don't know about. There's definitely more things I don't know about than things that I do know about, and I think I know about a lot of things. Five seconds. Some abs here. That'll be it. I gained like 2 pounds because it was like 206 yesterday. And then we put up our Christmas tree. Every year when we put up our Christmas tree, like we make gingerbread man and watch like Christmas movies and stuff. And I couldn't resist the gingerbread man. I ate a lot of gingerbread. A lot of gingerbread men. Apparently 2 pounds worth of gingerbread men. But that's alright. No more holidays until after Worlds. Yeah, 208 this morning. Need to be like 202 when I wake up on December 18th when I compete. So that weight class is 208, but you need to be 208 like in your gi and like not dehydrated and stuff. So I need to wake up at like 202 so that I can have a lager and a steak and some potatoes and some eggs and maybe a little coffee too. That's gonna be my ritual from now on. Every time I compete, 1 lager, pound of steak, pound of potatoes, 2 eggs. That's my new ritual. in the books.